What is going on, guys? Let's talk about some MLB tonight, like I usually do, and let's dive right into things and put together a nice cash lineup to win our 11th in a row. If you guys have any questions on who to play tonight, just throw it in the chat, and I'll take a look at it. I hope you guys listened to my Pirates guys' advice last night because they ended up doing very well and we ended up easily winning. So I'm going to be looking at the Pirates again tonight. Basically the same plays. FanDuel didn't adjust their prices really at all, so they make for a great play. But as I usually do, I'll just talk about some pitchers I like, who you should spend up on a cash team, and the right risks you should be taking on cheap pitching for GBP. Trevor Bauer is a decent play tonight. 12,000 is definitely a very hefty price, but he's been one of the best pitchers in the league this year. So you're definitely getting the bang for your buck. The Reds do strike out a lot. He's at home. Not a bad play. I think I'm going to be looking towards Justin Verlander a little bit more tonight. $200 cheaper, and he's been just as good as Trevor Bauer. The Astros have found themselves with a couple easy series against the White Sox at home and now against the Athletics at home. I had Garrett Cole last night, who shockingly enough was under 20% owned. I know I had mentioned Kershaw in the video. He did fine too, but my heart wanted to go with Cole last minute, so that ended up being my play on cash lineups, and he had 11 strikeouts. Sadly enough, he couldn't get the win, even going 6 shutouts. So Verlander in another great spot tonight, basically the same spot as Garrett Cole was in last night. I don't mind him at all. As far as those two guys go, those are good studs to pay up for. And then the next guy that's worth picking isn't all the way down till Rich Hill. Hill's a great GPP. He could even fit into some cash plays tonight in San Diego. He's a big favorite tonight, and he's been pretty good as of late. He's gone over 5 innings in all of his starts since the DL. So look for Hill to rack up a few strikeouts tonight and get that quality start. I do see him going 6 innings, and this is a pretty low total tonight. But those are my 3 pitchers you guys should really be looking into tonight. Bauer and Verlander, obviously cash. You could really go with either of them. And then Wood, Rich Hill. I always get those two guys confused. Rich Hill is basically, you could do cash or GBP tonight just because he's 8,000. If you're really looking to spend up on some bats, you could easily put Hill in cash lineups and he'll save you a couple thousand salary. So we got all 15 games tonight, all 30 teams playing. Huge slate tonight. There's definitely a couple of games we can shrug off our shoulders here because they just don't really appeal to me at all. I'll go through each game. Obviously spend more time on the games that I like a lot. Got New York at Baltimore. Tanaka just coming off the DL. He'll probably see some sort of pitch count tonight, so he's not worth picking. And there's no need to spend up on Orioles against him either because we know Tanaka can be great. There's really no Orioles that stick out to me. And then the Yankees are projected to score 1,000,000 runs tonight against Andrew Cashner. Fair enough, though. Makes sense because Cashner is a huge bum. Basically, the whole Orioles pitching staff is pretty laughable. If any of you guys are Orioles fans, I'm sorry, but at least you got to know. Cashner is not a great pitcher. There's just really tough value in this game. All the Yankees guys are pretty fairly priced, not making them great value plays. Gardner is probably the best value tonight at 3,400, leading things off. He did homer yesterday. He's got that lefty-righty matchup. But as far as any other Yankee goes, they're just so highly priced that this game is almost a wash for me. I don't really like anyone in this game. Obviously, you have the upside of Judge and Stanton going deep, but you're paying a hefty price for them. And with a Coors Field game tonight, there's just no need to spend up on these Yankees hitters. Moving on to Washington at Pittsburgh, and we're back to our Pirates, baby. We got another great matchup with them tonight against Hellickson. Hellickson hasn't been great at all. Pirates at home. We got another bum righty on the mound, so we got to be targeting some Pirates here again. Really the same four guys I had targeted last night. You got Colin Moran batting cleanup 2,400, an absolute cash game play tonight. Lefty-righty matchup. Then you got the outfield again. You got Starlin Marte 3,400, so they bumped him up a couple $100. I still like Marte a lot. He's so versatile. He just can hit for power, and he steals when he gets on a lot. Along with Polanco and Dickerson, these three Pirates outfielders, they're awesome DFS plays when they have the right pitching matchup, and tonight's another good pitching matchup. Dickerson went up a few hundred. They all went up a couple hundred, but not enough for me to not want to play them. Dickerson leading off again, a fair play, a very good play here. Polanco, a great play. He absolutely went bananas last night. He had 44 fantasy points, and this was in his first two at-bats. He had this amount of points in the second inning, which was crazy. I thought he was going to have an even bigger game, but he ended up doing really nothing. All the Pirates guys actually really cooled down after the big first few innings last night. But Hellickson is in a tough spot tonight. I certainly don't mind stacking the Pirates once again. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm trying to see why my chat isn't showing up here. Not quite sure. But anyways, I do like them a lot. You got to look at them tonight and really go on with it here. I don't really like many Nationals. Joe Musgrove can be pretty good at times, and all the Nationals guys are fairly priced, so I'm not really looking at them too much at all. It's mainly the Pirates in this game. The next game we got Cincinnati at Cleveland. Like I said, Bauer's a great play tonight. If you want, you could look into some Indians guys because Sal Romano can be very bad. But again, the Indians are really highly priced too, and they're not really worth spending up. If I'm spending up on any guys tonight, it's really the same method as last night. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to be looking at Pirates guys for good value, spending up on a pitcher, and then doing the one or two stud plays either out of the Rockies game or the Red Sox game, because the Red Sox are expected to score a ton again tonight against Gallardo, but we'll get to that game in a couple games. So no really Indians worth playing here. Everyone's as normal priced as ever. Maybe Brantley is a GPP. He can be really good at times. 4K isn't too much, but I'm going to just move right on with things here. Milwaukee at Miami. You got Chacin against Pablo Lopez. Vegas has this game, let's see, at an 8 total, so not that great to pick bats from, and not really great to pick pitchers from. Whenever you see an 8 total, it's just like kind of in between. You don't know if it's going to score a lot, and the bats aren't really worth picking because you're not sure. Normally like to take bats from a game that has a 9 total or more. That's an ideal situation. And then picking pitchers that are favorites in like a 7 total. If you haven't noticed in my videos, guys, I really focus on Vegas lines. They certainly know what they're doing out there. I do like using this as a template, just looking at the lines and computing it in my head. I know a lot of providers and DFS content guys look at BVP, which is batter versus pitcher. I don't really look into that because it doesn't really matter. You could be 3 for 6 against a guy and have like 3 singles. And if you're picking a guy with a good BVP in a game that isn't supposed to score a lot of runs, he could be hitting 3 singles off the guy with no one on base. So do you want a guy who has a good average that's going to be hitting with no one on and just getting those non-RBI points? Or do you want a guy who's going to find himself in the middle of a lineup that is going to have guys on base and projected to score a lot? And you can't really judge a play based off of a few at-bats against the pitcher. I mean, if a guy is known to really see a pitcher well, then yeah, you can argue it. If he's had like over 25 at-bats against the guy and he has like 4 homers, yeah. But I don't really waste my time with it, and you can't really argue with me because I'm on a 10-game win streak. My computer just really bugged out. So yeah, I like to use the Vegas lines, guys. I I don't really go into the BVP things as much as many people do. So yeah, this game, 8 total. Not really anything jumps out at me as far as cash game plays go. Can look at the lineup real quick. I don't really think there's many good values. Brewers lineup looks as normal as ever. Saladino is batting 5th. He's probably like minimum 2,300. If you really wanted to spend down there, I guess you could. But I'm not picking any Marlins against Chacin. This game is basically a wash for me. Phillies at Mets. They only have one pitcher on here, so whoever this guy is, Enyel De Los Santos. I don't know. That sounds like a California like city or something. I don't even know. Is that like a name? That looks like a sentence. What do we got? Let's see what Bovada has for these 2 pitchers in this game. You got Santos against Drew Gagnon. I'm assuming Gagnon hasn't pitched yet because he's not on FanDuel. So these 2 pitchers are both no names. You could fit some bats in your lineup here. I don't know if they're cash game plays, but GBP you could definitely do so. I don't think the Phillies lineup is out yet. But you got guys like Brandon Nimmo, Bautista. They're pretty fairly priced here. Let me take a look at, let's see. Asdrubal Cabrera has been pretty hot as of late, but I think he's pretty highly priced. 3,300, that's not bad. He's been pretty good. As far as Phillies go, there's not many great prices here. Hoskins and Herrera are pretty well priced here. Nick Williams, 2,600. You can maybe look at him in GPP. He's been pretty good as of late. He's going to have the lefty-righty matchup. His game log is pretty nice. 2,600, not a bad play. Certainly not really looking into this game that much either. Unless there's a crazy value play with a Philly batting like in the middle of the lineup. I don't really like this game either. Move on to the Red Sox against the Rangers. Love the Red Sox tonight against Gallardo. They're expected to score a ton of runs. You could even look at Rangers in this game, too. You could do a game stack just because Hector Velasquez hasn't been great either. This game could be a heavy bullpen game on both sides here. So definitely not a bad game stack. Mitch Moreland, very fairly priced here at 3,300. He just made the All-Star game. Kind of shocking, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that. You got Odor at 3,100. He's got good home run upside. Brock Holt, 2,900. If you're doing a Red Sox stack, you could certainly fit him in. Not a bad price. Adrian Beltre, very fairly priced here at 2,900, batting cleanup. You could look his way. Devers, 3K. 7th is a tough spot in the order, but definitely a good GPP play. Any one of these Red Sox guys could homer. Andrus and Bogarts, not the best values there. And then again, JD or Mookie, you could always go with one or the other here on any given night, especially against a guy like Gallardo. I would mention Benintendi, but his price jumped up. You can only really pick one of these guys if you want to spend up on a stud. And then my last value play, you could look at Nomar Mazara, only 3,100, batting 3rd here. He's a great ball player, and FanDuel doesn't seem to really give his salary much justice. So Mazara is probably the best value play, along with Beltre on the Rangers side of things. And then I like Mitch Moreland at 3,300. And then obviously any Red Sox stud outfielder you could look at as well. Detroit at Tampa. Matthew Boyd against Ryan Stanek. Stanek is like a bullpen guy, so expect the Rays to have a heavy bullpen game again tonight. But this game has a really low total. I guess Boyd could maybe be a GPP pitcher. He's had some good games this year. The Rays aren't bad. But he's been so bad as of late, I can't really pick him. But I also don't want to pick any Rays against him either. Maybe Wilson Ramos. He's been really hot as of late. I think the winning team on FanDuel yesterday had him. He's only 3,100. He's got good power upside. I don't mind Ramos with the lefty-righty matchup. Everyone else in this game is just either fairly... you could look at... I kind of like Hamir Candelario. I think that's how you say it. Leading off here at 2,900. Like I said, the Rays are going to be using their bullpen a lot this game, so you could stack Tigers. But Vegas doesn't like this game at all. You got a 7.5 total, which is fairly low, and you have the Rays as a favorite. Just really a lot of red flags in this game. I'm really not picking anyone. Toronto at Atlanta. Pitching matchup here, you got Julio Teheran against Marcus Stroman. Now, these two pitchers are really weird because over the past 5 years, they've had a couple good years each. They've been pretty good studs on the mound, and then they've also had a couple really bad years. These guys have been on and off for as long as I can remember. They're both off right now this year, so I wouldn't suggest picking either of these guys. But they can also both be on, so it makes picking bats kind of tough in this game. You got an 8.5 total. It's basically a pick 'em here. There's really no one to. I don't love this game either, to be honest. There's plenty of games tonight that I don't love. There's not much. Both lineups look very normal. Grichuk is batting cleanup. If he has a low price tag, 2,300. Almost minimum. Grichuk has that great power upside, so he's a good GPP play if you want to look towards him. Let me see about anyone else in this game. I don't really love anyone else. Maybe Russell Martin if you want to do a little mini stack there just because they're so cheap. Grichuk and Russell Martin because Tehran could easily blow up on any game along with Stroman. So these are definitely GPP plays. No cash game plays in this game at all. Solarte is a fair price at 2,800. So if the Blue Jays were to score a lot tonight, which they could, it's not a bad idea to stack a little bit of the middle of that lineup. Solarte, Grichuk, Russell Martin. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. I think I'm just trying to add some filler time here when I shouldn't be. We should just move right on to the next game. Oakland at Houston. Obviously, I love Verlander tonight. He's probably going to be my cash game pitcher. And then Manaea can be really good at times, so it makes tough to spend up on these Astros bats. Obviously, all the A's bats are a wash just because Verlander's on the mound, and then you got all these Astros bats just so expensive, not really worth it. I don't even think Josh Reddick isn't even starting. I would say this game's a wash as well, other than picking Justin Verlander as your pitcher. We're going to start getting into the teams that I like here. Like I said, so far I like the Pirates the most. I like the Red Sox a ton. And then for GPP, you could look at the Rangers as well. And then that Mets and Phillies game for bats, just because there's two no-name pitchers in that game. I'm gonna just look at the chat real quick, just because we're over halfway through here. What about Tanaka versus a bad bad O's team? Like I said earlier, Tanaka's good, but he's just coming off of the DL. So I hate picking pitchers coming off the DL because if they ever show the coach that they're looking a little fatigued or not on, they have a really short leash with him, and he's probably on a bit of a pitch count tonight. Not worth it. Another race stack tonight for right-handed batters against Boyd. Race stack helped me last night. Yeah, I had mentioned the Rays last night against Liriano, but Boyd's a little bit better of a pitcher than Liriano. He has a little bit more control. Obviously, he's been kind of blown up over the past few weeks, so not a bad idea to stack the Rays. They should have some low ownership. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm definitely not as high on them as I was last night. But you could certainly do all Rays righties like CJ Cron, Wilson Ramos, Matt Duffy. They're all pretty fairly priced, so not a bad idea. Anyone likes Aaron Sledge, pitcher for Minnesota tonight? Well, I'm about to talk about the Minnesota game. Or it's Aaron Slegers. I'll have to look into that. And then the last one we'll look at. If Tehran leaves the slider hanging tonight, don't expect much from him. I definitely agree with that, Jaron, for sure, because when Tehran gets that off-speed pitch leaving over the plate, he can really absolutely get blown up. I've seen him give up 3-4 home runs within a few innings when he pitches, so that's why I'm saying in that game you could stack some Blue Jays. Tehran can definitely get blown up, but so can Stroman, so it's really picking your poison. I think I like Blue Jays bats just a little bit more in that game, just because Tehran can be so bad when he's off. So, going back to that last comment, Aaron Slegers, I don't really know much about him. I do know that Kansas City's a pretty bad hitting team. He's had 2 starts so far, not bad, 5,700. Let's see if Vegas likes him or not. I don't hate it so far for a GPP pitcher. He's minus 170, so he is a favorite to possibly get a win, but you got to look at that total at 9.5. That's a bit of a red flag for me. Obviously, they're expecting the Twins to light up Ian Kennedy, but again, they're not that big of a favorite, so Vegas is expecting the Royals to score a few. At 5,700 though, you could really stack the Red Sox, stack that Coors game. I kind of like that risky play right there. Not a bad GPP play. I'm probably not going to be looking into him, but if you're a guy who likes to make a bunch of lineups, I don't mind throwing him in a couple lineups. So not a bad idea. As far as Twins bats go, they're pretty fairly priced. Not really looking at Dozier. You could look at Morrison for GBP. I always like the lefty-righty matchup with him because he's got that power upside. Joe Mauer's a great value play at 2,600 leading off. If you want to do a twin stack, I like Morrison, Joe Mauer. I like Escobar went up a few $100s. I don't love him as much. Not a bad play, but 3,700 is a little hefty for me. Eddie Rosario, 3,500. I've seen his price higher, so that's not a terrible play. He could easily homer off of Ian Kennedy. We've seen Rosario have a couple multi-home run games. Last year, I remember picking him on my GPP team, and he was under 1% owned one night, and he hit 3 homers. I think he hit 3 homers this year as well. So he's been known for having multi-home run games. If he finds it early, he could definitely go off. 3,500, pretty good GPP play there for Eddie Rosario. But that's basically it in this game. You could look at Logan Morrison, Joe Mauer, Eddie Rosario, the lefty-righty matchups, but let's move right on to my second favorite stack of the night with the Cardinals. The Pirates are my favorite stack. The Pirates are my favorite stack. The Cardinals are my second favorite stack based on value. Vegas has this game at a 9.5 total. They love the Cardinals tonight. Dylan Covey's been very bad this year. And the Cardinals bats are really fairly priced here. We could stack all 4 Cardinals without an issue tonight. You got Jose. Whoa! What are we doing here? My computer loves this game too. It's zooming in, getting all excited. Jose Martinez is an absolute must play. 2,600, an awesome play here. He's been a great player this year. I don't think he made the All-Star team, but he easily could have. 296 average, 13 dingers, 53 RBIs, and he was on the DL for a couple of weeks. So Martinez, great spot tonight. Let's keep going here with the Cardinals. I love Matt Carpenter, 3,200. That's as low of a price as we've seen from him all year. Leading off, lefty-righty matchup, another great play here. And then you can stack this Cardinals outfield. Tommy Pham, Marcell Ozuna. Those 2 guys are very, very fairly priced here. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4 in order with a stack here for the Cardinals. Matt Carpenter, Tommy Pham, Jose Martinez, and Marcell Ozuna. I love the Cardinals tonight, guys. I think they're equal with the Pirates, honestly. They're just in a really good spot tonight, and their prices are so cheap. They're right around $3K, and Covey is expected to give it up. So this is a cash game type of game for me. I don't like any White Sox guys because Miles Mikolas has been really good this year. He's had some really good games, so not worth picking any White Sox. But I do love the Cardinals that I mentioned. Then we got our dreaded Coors game. I hate when there's Coors games on the slate because you know you have to pick a couple guys because the total is just always high. That high elevation, there's just way too many runs. I hate it. I wish it wasn't a part of DFS, but unfortunately it is. But I think you got a couple of lefty pitchers in this game. I don't think it's really worth spending up on Rockies because they're all very highly priced, and Corbin can be pretty good at times. I know he's in Coors, but there's better risk out there. But I do like the Diamondbacks a little bit. My favorite play in this game is A.J. Pollock. I put him as my feature image today because 4,100. Yeah, that's a pretty high price, but it easily could be more. Pollock is in a prime time spot tonight against Kyle. I think it's Kyle Anderson or Tyler Anderson, the lefty. Tyler Anderson, he can give it up, and Pollock is an awesome player. He's got great power. He can steal bases. 41. He could easily be a 5K player tonight just because he's in Coors and he's just so good. So that's probably my favorite play. And then you got Steven Souza. 3,100. If you guys haven't noticed, FanDuel makes the minimum price for all Coors games 3,000 instead of 2,000. So you're not going to see a player below 3,000 salary, whether they're playing or not from a Coors game. And Steven Souza is right on the brink of minimum for a Coors game, 3,100. He's got that lefty-righty matchup. I would say your cash game plays have to be A.J. Pollock and Steven Souza. This 4-5 punch here in the middle of this lineup could do some serious damage. Do a little Pollock, do a little Souza, and get that great value out of the Pirates and Cardinals stacks. That is my biggest advice for you tonight. Then, as usual, I hate the late night games. One, you don't know the lineups, and two, the matchups just aren't great. Seattle at the Angels. This game's basically a wash. Both of these pitchers can be really good at times. Not worth spending anyone. This Dodgers-Padres game, like I said, Rich Hill is a pretty good play here against the Padres. He could easily be a cash game play. He's probably going to be my GPP pitcher tonight. And then you got some Dodgers. You could maybe do a couple Dodgers against the lefty Eric Lauer. Matt Kemp's fairly priced at 3,400. Kike Hernandez will probably find himself at the top of that lineup, especially with no Puig. He's only 2,900, and then Chris Taylor only 2,900, probably leading off against a lefty. So Taylor could be a cash game play at shortstop if he's leading off tonight. I certainly see that scenario. Justin Turner, a little too hefty of a price for me. And then everyone else is a lefty and too highly priced. So out of this game, I like Alex Wood as a pitcher. Chris Taylor, a pretty good value play. Kemp, more of the GPP side of things because he's pretty highly priced. Kike Hernandez, not a bad play there either. And then this last Cubs at Giants game, I don't like it at all. Cueto and Quintana, they're too hard to predict. Definitely not picking them, and I'm definitely not picking any bats in this game. I think this has a pretty low total, and it's a pick 'em. Let's see. 7.5 total, and it's a pick 'em. There is just no exposure to this game for me at all. I don't like it at all. So out of the late night teams, I don't like anyone except the Dodgers, like I just mentioned. So just take that with a grain of salt and move on. Just a quick sum up, guys. The Pirates, Red Sox, you could even do a little Rangers, and then the Coors game with the Cardinals. I'm going to look back into the chat, see if you guys have said anything. Is stacking the Diamondbacks and Cardinals a great stack tonight? Yes, Kong. It is a great stack tonight. If you can stack those guys with a stud pitcher like Bauer and Verlander, you're definitely on your way to a really good chance at winning in 50-50s tonight. So I do like that. But yeah, those are the teams tonight, guys. We're looking to get 11 wins in a row, so you guys should hop on the train if you haven't yet. I'll obviously have one cash lineup and one GPP lineup on my website around 6:15, 6:30. And I'm also doing DraftKings lineups on my extra content tab, so you can spend Guru credits on that as well, just to get some more exposure to different sites. But obviously FanDuel is my number one go-to. But DraftKings has won last night as well, so I basically do the same exact kind of picks. I know the pricing is a little different, but it's the same idea. So if you're a DK guy, go over to my extra content tab on my site. And then just like this video, guys, and subscribe if you haven't yet, guys, and tell any friends or anybody you can to tune into here. I'm going to try to do this every night around 5 o'clock so you guys get into a rhythm and know when to come on for the video. But until next time, guys, I'm the FD Guru, and I'm signing off.